If you want to pump your body and expand your mind, there's only one place to go. Mind Pump. Mind Pump with your hosts, Sal DiStefano, Adam Schaefer, and Justin Andrews.
In this episode of Mind Pump, for the first 47 minutes, we do our introductory conversation. First, Adam talks about his almond and coconut milk gold juice.
I can't take the credit for that. That's you, man.
Pre-bed sleep aid.
That shit works, though.
It does work. Adam copied me again. Look, if you go to Organifi.com/Mind Pump and enter the code Mind Pump, you'll get 20% off the gold juice and any other organic supplement that Organifi offers. Then we talk about Justin's rude awakening. Something woke him up in the middle of the night.
It was very rude.
I hope your wife doesn't listen to this episode.
I hope she doesn't either. I'm not going to have sex for a while.
Ever. You're done.
Yeah.
Then we talk about Robert Oberst and his uncanny and frighteningly fast foot speed in Map Strong.
It's a very impressive and very scary all at the same time.
If you have the program, the Map Strong program that we just launched, you can watch Robert Oberst do all the exercises, and some of these movements highlight the guy's agility, even though he's 300.
He's coming to get you.
It is what makes him unique in that sport, because that's one of the things that not a lot of those guys can move like he can, man.
So awesome.
Yep.
Then we talk about super slow-mo training and comparing the effectiveness of fighting techniques. Adam's talking about how he could beat up a small jiu-jitsu guy because he's bigger than them.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Throwing that out there.
Then we talk about the evolution of Mind Pump TV and Justin using his PRX gym to groove in his lifts. He's not dancing. He's actually working in the groove and
Sometimes
mastering.
I do in between sets.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Now, PRX is one of our sponsors. They make that gym equipment that folds into the wall. We got a 5% off discount for you. They also have a month-to-month option. It's pretty awesome. If you go to prxperformance.com/Mind Pump and use the promo code Mind Pump, you get 5% off and a free MAPS Prime program.
Workout at home revolution
with the purchase over $500. Then we get into the questions. The first question was, how do you know if you're getting stronger during a program without progressively overloading? Sounds like an obvious answer, but we actually get this question all the time. Next question was, this person is trying to gain weight, but they want to make sure that the extra calories go to their butt.
Oh, yeah.
And not to their belly.
Doesn't everybody?
Great plan.
Yep, just like Justin.
Yeah.
And the next question
He's
was,
mastered
It's been working.
do we think it's super important that people are good at something or have a skill before they promote themselves all over social media? Because now we're seeing all these Insta-famous people who act like experts but don't know anything.
Just look good.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with 500,000 followers who tell people to work out like crazy and say that they're all natural, but they're actually on steroids. Those kind of people
That doesn't happen, Sal.
Never happens.
No.
Those kind of people not providing lots of value. We talk about how you can find value in social media. And the final question, does this person need to train their internal, external rotators of their shoulders, the stabilizer muscles, even though they're obviously super strong and can bench press
Stupid.
325 pounds at 165? Yes, you do. Training your stabilizers will make you stronger. We break it down in that part of the episode. Also, there's only 48 hours left, 2 days left for the MAPS Strong launch promotion. It's $30 off. Use the code STRONG30, STRONG, the number 30 at mapsstrong.com.
Hey, so I stole something from you, and I gotta plug our sponsor because it's so fucking good, man.
What did you steal?
You
thief!
The heating up the almond milk. And I don't know if you have this or not, but I have a whisker too, which makes it fucking the next level if you haven't done this yet.
I got a whisker biscuit.
So I heat up and I have almond coconut milk by Silk, which is bomb.
Yeah, that's the one.
So I heat that up, and then I just do one scoop of the gold juice, and then I whisk it up.
It's so good, bro.
It's really good.
It's silly good.
What I've been noticing.
delicious.
So last night I made the mistake, and I knew I didn't make the mistake. I knew what I was doing. We met Doug. Doug and I met later on in the evening, and so I was kind of tired from the shoot all day long, and so I pounded a freaking caffeine drink at like 6 o'clock.
Oh, terrible idea.
I know, and I know that, you know what I'm saying. But I was like, I
had to.
I wanted to be up for the meeting, and I didn't want to be dragging ass in that. I was
Right.
like, I'll pay the consequences.
Sometimes you kind of have to.
Right, that was kind of my thought process. But I tell you what, I freaking had that right before bed because Katrina's like, could you settle down and go to bed? I'm like, I had the caffeine right before. I'm probably not going to sleep. I said, maybe I'll go for a walk. She's like, no, get in bed and relax. I'll rub you a little bit.
Hey.
And I get in bed,
Ding dong.
And I was like, you know what? Let me have that. And I had it the night before, and it was really good. And it did, I thought, help me sleep. But I'm like, well, maybe I was just tired that night. This will be the test. Like, because I know I'm fucking on caffeine right now. If this settles me down and helps me sleep, and sure as shit, dude, I fucking fell right to sleep
dude.
like a little baby.
I'm telling
It's
you.
a magical potion.
I think it's something to do too with like the heating up the almond milk. You know,
Yeah,
like
you get the nice, warm, comforting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
There's ingredients in the gold juice that help you sleep. That's what it's for. It's designed to make you relax.
Courtney swears by it. I had her start doing that for anxiety and just like she gets really anxious before bed and like it's really helped with that.
Well, you know me, I'm skeptical as fuck, you know. So whenever Sal says something or puts something out there, I know I'm like, oh, whatever, I'll get to it.
Till this day, it's all been correct though. Till this day, at some point,
still remain skeptical.
At some
You
point,
gotta keep that edge, Adam.
right.
Don't lose it.
I'm
You
waiting
know
for
what I
the
mean?
time when Adam's just like, I'm just gonna trust.
Never. Katrina even
Once you do that, then that's
even
where
calls me-
I'm gonna fuck
manipulating.
with you.
Katrina even calls me out on stuff all the time. She's just like, because you always want to do the opposite of what Sal's doing. So someone has to
course.
do that.
Yeah.
Fucking somebody has to definitely do that.
We're all
day-
contrarians on some level.
The
yeah.
day you stop being skeptical is when I'm gonna fuck with you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey Adam, you know, if you do Pilates, it'll help your physique.
Yeah.
Hold on. No, it's the lemon balm. It's got turkey tail in it. It's got reishi in it, and then the turmeric for the anti-inflammatory effects.
Sounds like you're putting it in a cauldron. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
turkey tail.
tails
Yeah.
and rat eyes and like some witch brew.
Originally I was doing it more for like the turmeric and the recovery because I really trained hard the other day, and I was like, that's what made me do it first. And I recognized that it was like, wow,
No, dude, if it's warm in almond milk, it's fucking good.
oh, it's really good.
It's like a really.
It's
it almost feels like it shouldn't.
a
be
little
drinking
50
it.
calorie drink like that before bed. I mean, and because we've been low calorie.
So there's
lately,
a couple different ways you could do it. The way you did it, great. I love that too. But let's say it's a really hot night, because I did this in the summer, super, super hot. I'll blend it in a blender. So I have a little, what is it called? The bullet or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I blend it, almond milk, and
pour it over ice or something.
pour it over ice. And you
Yeah.
drink it. And it's really fucking good like that too.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
dude.
it's good stuff.
No,
man.
I'm sold, and the fact that it helped me go to sleep I was impressed, and
Mm-hmm.
on all the caffeine that I was on, because I was pretty much chalking it up for this is gonna be one of those nights. Whatever, I'll be tired tomorrow. We're sitting around in meetings today.
Yeah,
so whatever.
I want you to think about all the people you affect when you lose sleep. Besides yourself.
I know.
Your partners, and your girl.
Oh, it's so funny. I feel like I was hesitant about bringing this up because I don't really want to roll my wife under the bus, but
So what you're going to?
yeah, I'm going to anyway. 'Cause she doesn't listen, so this is this is her
Sorry, honey.
punishment for not listening to the show. She woke me up, so I actually planned because I was so tired. Dude. I was like, I'm gonna go to bed at like 9:30. Like I'm gonna for once, I'm just gonna I just put the kids to sleep. I came up, I was like trying to watch TV and like trying to hang out and have a conversation. I was just dozing off. I was like, I'm going to bed. And went to bed. And I'm dead asleep, dead to the world. And I wake up and I'm just like, oh, like all disoriented, looking at my phone because I was going to train a client, before I came in here and, to see if she confirmed whatever. But I was like, why did I wake up? And I'm like smelling, like it smells like somebody lit a match, but then like it's just cloud, like a real thick cloud in there. And Courtney like, oh, you woke up. Like, why are you up? It was like 12:30. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I was like, did you fart? She fucking blasted one and it woke me out of a dead sleep. I was like, dude.
You did throw her under the bus. Big time.
Bro, she killed me. And then after that, I was so mad because and she's laughing and dying, oh my God, I can't believe you woke up. And I'm trying to go back to sleep. And then I'm just like, why are you laughing? Yeah, it's funny, but I'm so tired. I'm a zombie. I get angry when I'm that tired.
Yeah.
And so the whole time I'm trying to sleep, my mind just keeps going. I didn't get any sleep last night after that.
I love you, dude, but you can't complain about about I'm
Oh
pretty
no,
sure-
I know.
I'm pretty sure you've hammered her.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is like a long time coming.
I love
you know
it.
what I
I
mean?
love
But
it.
like, I'm just like, I'm gonna throw her in the bus today.
Yeah, I love it. I love the videos you were showing me with your kids the other day, where you guys send videos to each other,
Oh yeah,
and you're just making funny voices and shit to your boys.
yeah. What app is that? That's on that
Marco Polo.
Marco Polo, dude.
You brought
My
that
kids
back.
Love that.
You brought that back up.
Yeah.
I forgot about that when we first started the podcast. Somebody from Orange Theory turned me on to it, and then we were I forget. What's awesome was that all of our stuff was saved on there.
Bro, old ass videos of us talking shit to each other and stuff.
yeah.
Wow.
It was, like, I have no memory of that, and then we started going through those. Like, oh my god,
Bro, some of the videos.
Look at us.
Some of the videos were ridiculous. Some of them like were you're making funny voices, but you drew a penis above your head, or
And then you one up it with
Yeah.
like stuff all over your face.
yeah,
and,
yeah.
Oh man,
Like, what are we doing?
What was that?
What
Yeah.
were we thinking?
I don't know.
Yeah,
We weren't. That was during the porn ad kind of age of Mind Pump. I think.
Yeah, that's right. Those
yeah.
are good. Those are all good times. I think.
Yeah, we were very creative. We were trying to figure, where to go. Yeah.
Man, I've been doing these nightly walks every single night, and man, I really fall. I'm addicted to them. It's a really nice thing to do. Late at night, go for a nice long walk. There's this loop. Do you guys when you walk at night? Do you have the same loop?
Yep.
Yep.
How long does yours take?
So it's a half-mile loop, and we typically do 2 loops. So we walk a mile. Yeah, we walk a mile. Unless
What does that take? What is that? 15, 20
Yeah, our
minutes?
Yeah, 20
neighborhood's
minutes.
about
That's
the
so.
same.
I was saying that the other day. We typically walk about 20 minutes after dinner, and that's kind of the routine. Unless there's a night, like I said, where if one of us is really low on steps, like because she tracks too, like I do, she keeps her Fitbit on, and we'll go like, hey, let's do some more. We'll walk more because I didn't move much today, so we'll just walk for like an hour. But let's stay in our routine, minimum 2 laps.
How many steps is in a mile?
About like 4,000, 5,000, depending on your
Dang.
stride. Yeah.
That many in 1
Is there?
mile?
Oh wow.
No. In a mile,
Yeah.
I'm thinking of walking for an hour. No, in a mile, it's only probably
1,000.
probably between 1,000 and 2,000 somewhere.
How you stepping with that mile?
Yeah,
4,000
no.
steps.
Sorry, no. I was
Doing
thinking
the
of
cha-cha.
I was thinking of how long my steps are or how many steps I hit when we walk for an hour. If we walk for an hour, I hit about 5,000, 6,000 steps.
Dude, bro, me and Justin were watching some of the videos in Strong, which is killing it right now.
Oh yeah.
But we're watching some of the videos.
Love it, man.
And just watching Robert Oberst do the ladders and run and pick up a fucking 200-pound
It's
bag
almost
and run.
absurd, right? Because
It's
this guy's
terrifying.
so big. Yeah, but he's doing like really fast steps, you know, and he's not moving like at you very quickly, but he's moving very quickly,
Yeah.
right? So it's like this weird, like it's like you see it in a horror film, like somebody coming at you that's huge, just be like,
Yeah.
like running,
Run!
like no.
Someone that size should not be able to move like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, it's freaky.
It defies the law. I can't move like
I mean,
that.
I appreciate it, but it's like it needs its own soundtrack. Was what we like came to conclude. You
And
know?
then we were laughing because we're like, what if you were just like chilling on the street and he just ran towards you? Like, you didn't know him. He's just running towards you.
Yeah.
What would you do? You'd probably run.
yeah.
As a grown man, I don't think you'd sit there and figure out what's about to happen. I think you'd be like, I'm out of here. I'm a fucking
Something bad is gonna happen.
Yeah, I'm a
like,
fucking run right.
Yeah.
Either he's running at me or he's running from something. And for someone that big to be running from something,
Yeah.
I need to get the fuck out of
I'm
here
fucking scared
because it's a dinosaur.
it's a time it's gonna eat you.
Yeah, there's literally a dinosaur.
Yeah.
But anyway, with these walks so do you guys remember those shoes that we got sent from what's the company? I don't remember the name of the company, but it was
Is it the water based?
no,
shoes or
not the
other
water
one?
ones. I haven't put those on
They're
yet.
ugly as fuck.
It was the other ones from was it Zach
Bitter, yeah, Zach
Okay,
Bitter gave us
yeah.
that.
What's
Those are just as ugly.
bro, hold on a second. What's the
They're
name
like
of the
moon
company?
shoes.
What is the name
Starts
of
with
it?
a Z.
Is it
Zirconia.
A? Like,
No, I thought it was Altria.
yeah,
or Altria.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe Doug could look it up.
Altria.
Anyway,
yeah, you're right.
the reason why they're not they don't look very good is because the front of the foot is wider than the back of it, because what they're trying to do is give you all kinds of like moving room for your toes
Right.
and your feet.
Kind of look like duck feet.
They do. You look like a kind of like a clown a little bit. It's ultra. But can I tell you something about wearing them to go for walks at night?
Don't try and close me on this.
No. Hold on a second.
Okay, here we go.
The most comfortable shoe I've ever worn.
I knew it.
They don't. You know what? They don't look good, but they're secure around your ankle and foot, and then your toes are free to go.
Oh God,
man.
Dude.
nerds all over are ordering them shoes now for you.
Just make
Dude.
sure it's dark outside.
I know we don't even have a sponsorship with them, but they're not very good looking.
They
so
are
it's-
ugly as fuck, dude.
yeah.
They are ugly as fuck. I'll walk barefoot, dude.
but they're comfortable as shit.
Well, if I had to run on like pavement all the time, I'll do whatever, man. That sucks.
Well, even walking long distances, like if I walk in my Chucks for long distances on the pavement, they'll start to bother me a little bit. I don't know about you guys, but my foot moves around too much in my shoe because my foot's so. I have a long, kind of narrowish type of foot. You know what I mean?
I mean, I feel bad because they
that's
hooked
what
it up
she
and they
said.
sent us free stuff, so I shouldn't be talking shit. But I mean, at the same time, dude, I'm
Yeah.
just not a fan. It's all running shoes are ugly as fuck.
Yeah, they all are. So to be
know the other
fair-
ones that are
Because they're
really-
designed to be functional.
those other ones that
Right.
are really popular that have like spring you forward and they're like they have the huge heels.
That's silly.
Start with an H.
That's silly.
Those are really popular.
I know,
really
but that's
popular.
silly.
Yeah,
I know. I
Those are
agree.
ugly.
Now, if I was a 15-year-old or 16-year-old kid and I saw a pair of shoes with like fucking actual springs on the back, for sure I'd buy them because that shit's gonna make me run faster.
of course, you
know what I'm
were
saying?
buying like the pumps, shoe back in the day. Those were the business.
Whatever happened to that? So back when we were growing up, there was this period of time. I want to say 5-year period, maybe longer. I don't know because I was a kid, so time is difficult to quantify. But there was like a race for the most outlandish, advanced
Yes.
forward propulsion thing inside a shoe. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
There was
There's like these air pockets like Nike was trying to come up with in the heel, and then dude,
what's that
why
one?
were we buying pumps? It had like a basketball that you pump. Like how
Yeah,
fucking
Well,
stupid
this
is that?
this is the era of the explosion of supplement bullshit science at the same time. It's like all around the same time this is all happening. So
Yeah.
why people were taking little bits of science to prove all these supplements that do things for our body? The fucking shoe companies were showing that this
Yeah.
could accelerate you or increase your vertical.
But
And
what
it's
was-
like-
You're all like blissfully ignorant, right?
right, yeah, we're like fuck yeah.
But I remember, like, when I would go to the store with my mom to buy shoes, I would grab the shoe and I'd look at the bottom of it and see what the bottom looked like and see if there was any technology.
Yeah.
What brand was it that had the catapult? Do you remember the catapults?
Oh yeah.
Remember that? What was it? Was
sounds
that,
like a British Knight.
Was it
or,
British Knights?
LA Gear or something like
yeah,
that.
I think it might have been LA Gear. And in the commercial, it literally looked like a catapult. And then the commercial's like, and as a kid, I was like, that's brilliant.
Wow.
Obviously, that's going to make me, as soon as I hit the ground,
I'm just gonna launch.
I'm gonna fucking launch forward, But my mom didn't buy them for me because, of course, my mom was, frugal.
well, I mean, it didn't stop, right? We had wheelies. Remember that? Like that's
Well, that's-
that
yeah,
took
but
off.
those are actually supposed to make you skate. You know what I mean?
I would have loved that when I was a kid.
I would have
my
loved that
God.
too. Those are cool. I think
Yeah.
those are cool.
The wheelies.
Yeah, I mean, I think
That
they
would've broke my
I think
ass.
they came out when I was like 21 or 2, somewhere in that range, and I actually thought about.
Do you guys
it.
remember that fitness?
No, I saw an adult.
No, I had a boss, so I had it.
I was just gonna
I was
mention
like,
it.
you.
I
was like, no.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He was a DM, right? Or, I mean, no, a DFM.
Well, yeah, he was. I had him when he was my FM, and he used to.
he used to skate around the club in it.
Yeah.
You talking about the little guy?
Yeah.
I would
Oh,
trip.
my
Yeah,
God.
he was, when I was a
You can't- no,
early
you
on
can't.
trainer. He was my fitness manager for a short time before he got promoted to be a DFM. I forget his name. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. What'd you think of that guy?
That's silly.
He was different. You know what he was.
I never understood how he became a moved up.
No, well, I mean, I don't know how a lot of people moved up in that company around that time. So he was big. He was the first person. I remember getting him as a fitness manager, and he was pretty ripped for. I mean, he's a little guy, right? But he was pretty cut up. He was in good shape.
He was a
And-
good 135.
Yeah. He was little. He's a little guy for sure. He trained super slow. So he kind of did the Mike Mincer meets what's that
Super slow zone.
super slow zone rep place where it was all about, and his whole thing was all about time under tension, right? So he would grab 80-pound dumbbells and then do like 3 to 5 reps, but he would do them extremely
Like
slow.
30-second rep.
Yeah, really, really, really slow, and then that's it. He was
So
done.
weird
Next-
that hasn't really taken off.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know that was a thing for a little while.
Ready, set, go.
So people need to understand this. Time under tension, definitely important, but you could take it to a point where it becomes endurance. So if you're doing, even if you're only doing 3 reps, because each rep is taking you 30 seconds, it's equivalent to doing like 30 or 40 reps with lightweight, because you're actually working endurance more than strength. But do you guys know where that came from, where that whole theory started?
No.
So, and this is what I love about resistance training, and something that irritates me about people in our space is that they don't learn the history of.
They don't acknowledge it.
They don't acknowledge it, and they pretend like they came up with some new thing, or this new advanced way of training. It's like that's been around for 80 years.
Pretty much everything. Yeah.
So slow motion training came from during World War II. So during World War II, there were rations that were going on. Obviously, the whole country was geared towards creating these machines of war, and getting iron was very difficult, extremely expensive, and you were rationed. So if you were a gym, it was difficult to get a lot of iron. And so bodybuilders and coaches and gym owners came up with this concept of super slow motion training, where we don't need much iron. You can just use 50% of the load that you normally use, but just take 30 seconds to go down and 30 seconds to go up.
Yeah, they're trying to make it harder.
Yeah, and that's where
can.
That's where it was born, and it resurged in popularity in the 90s. And I believe it was Iron Man magazine that pushed it forward, where they started selling books on super slow motion training. So I actually went through a whole stint of doing it.
I trained like that for a while.
I've done it before.
Yeah.
I
actually
muscle.
enjoy it.
Yeah, you lost muscle.
I did. It's not gonna build muscle.
I tell you what it was really
Builds
good for me.
connection, though.
What was I saw good benefits from it, and why I saw good benefits is because I was the perfect time in my life. I was about 21 or so. I don't remember how old I was. I was just getting into being a fitness trainer, and I was all about intensity at this time. And my reps I was training with these kind of old school bodybuilder guys that did a lot of cheat reps and cheat sets and kind of trained that way. And so it was a great way to
great contrast.
It was a great contrast from what I was doing. And so I took a lot from that. And in fact, I think if you train with me, and I know Justin could test for this because I know he's trained a lot with me before in the past. Like that, I'm really slow and controlled on my negative. I think most people don't take a 4-2-2 hypertrophy, like the true protocol for hypertrophy training. Very few people take a 4-second eccentric motion or a 4-second negative.
You used to take me through that, and then we'd hit like a superset. I remember that quite a bit, and that blew me up, man.
And I think that I saw a lot of benefit from just slowing down the tempo, and I went from one extreme to the other. And then I found this like middle place of, there's a lot of benefit to really slowing down on the eccentric part of the exercise. And I noticed really quick, like, all my books are saying that, hypertrophy, one of the best places to build muscle, that protocol is a 4-2-2, count. And when I look at everybody in the gym and I watch the way they do reps, nobody is doing a 4-second negative. Nobody. I mean, you'll rarely ever see somebody do a true 4-second negative. And so I actually then started to follow that protocol, and I blew up. I saw that was another one of my little, we talk about this on the show all the time, like, pivotal moments or, paradigm shattering moments for us in our career. And like that was for me. I had seen results doing training other ways before, and then all of a sudden I do this super slow thing. And because it was such a contrast to what I was doing, I actually saw a big difference. Now, like anything else, I'm smart enough to extract that and go like, okay, I'm not going to probably train like this forever. But wow, if I actually do slow my reps down every once in a while, it's a really good thing for my body.
It is, but there's a lot of confusion around that, where people think that going slow on the rep is the important aspect, because studies will show that if somebody's reps are a little bit slower, but the tension is high, that's the key, that they'll get better results. So what does this mean? Does this mean that you take a weight that is lighter and do a slow positive? No, it means you get a heavy weight that you push explosively, but because it's heavy, the rep is slow. Now the descent is where it's important to control. The negative is important to control. Now there's a lot of theories as to why that is. One of them is you're stronger on the negative portion of a rep
4 times.
You're stronger on a negative than you are on a positive. So if you can, if your max squat is 300 pounds, you can probably lower 400 pounds with the same kind of control. You just can't get it back up. And so the reason why you slow the negative down is to increase the intensity of the negative, because whatever you push, you can lower much easier. Have you guys ever tried negative training, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Like legit negative training?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where the guys lift the weight for you?
Yeah, I was going to say I have a partner for that.
I should do that all the time.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, that'll tear you up, man.
Destroys you, dude.
Yeah, no. In fact, we used to do this thing. Man, you're bringing back memories right now. Back when I couldn't even bench 225, so I was a little guy. and we would take 225 on the bench, and we would do 5 negatives where a guy would
So 2 guys lift it with you.
Yeah, one guy could do it over the top. It wasn't that weak where I couldn't move it at all. But he would jerk it up, and then I would resist it, jerk it up, resist it up. We do that 5 times. Then we strip it down to 135, and then I would pump out the 135. That was the first time I ever experienced a massive pump on my chest. When I was, it was probably 22 or somewhere around there when I first did train this way. And I was on that kick for a minute because I'd never felt a pump in my chest like that before.
It's interesting too. Negatives are the negative portion of rep will also overtrain the fuck out of you. And one thing you'll notice, it does create a lot of muscle growth. And I think this is probably why, and this has always been my theory, when you look at Olympic lifters, they're incredibly strong, incredibly powerful, but their muscularity a lot of times doesn't match their strength. Not saying that they're not muscular, because many of them are incredibly muscular.
I absolutely believe this is why.
Yeah, but you'll have a 160 pound or 180 pound Olympic lifter, and he's lifting weights that a 250 pound or 60 pound bodybuilder or whatever gym rat will lift. And you ask yourself, well, how's that possible? Well, if you watch Olympic lifters lift, they don't emphasize the negative at all, even when they squat. Even if you watch an Olympic lifter squat, they do their high bar squat.
They drop in hot.
They drop in and come back up, and they're not. This is beneficial for them because they're increasing strength, not gaining a lot of weight, but also it allows them to train with a lot of.
This
volume.
is why I've always loved your speaker and amplifier analogy, because it fits right here so well. Also to explain why that is for people. So they've invested so much in a badass amp. They just haven't. They're getting the most out of those speakers than anybody else would. As an Olympic lifter, they may not have the biggest looking muscles, but they are getting more out of those muscles than almost anybody else with those same size of muscles.
Dude,
right?
from
it's like the amplifier, analogy that you give is so good because that applies to that really, really well.
And from a functional standpoint,
not as long of a signal either.
Yeah, and from a functional standpoint, those guys, out of all the strength athletes, those guys are insane. I don't know if you guys have ever. I've wrestled and done jiu-jitsu with guys who are Olympic lifters, and reminds me of gymnasts in the sense that their strength to weight ratio is so insane that these guys can do things with their bodies. And when they wrestle people their own body weight, it was like they were playing with children, because they're
how they do the long term.
What do you mean?
When you're wrestling them?
Oh, well, eventually they have to build stamina and stuff like that for the grappling.
Right.
But their athleticism was always Olympic lifters. Athleticism is just
that makes me want to wrestle Mike. I wonder if Mike could whoop my ass.
I bet, I'm sure.
Well, Mike also does jiu-jitsu. So
I know that's
what
I'm saying. But I outweigh him significantly. I should be able to.
I want to take you guys to jiu-jitsu school, and I want you guys to grapple a 130-pound black belt and just be totally humbled.
You want to just see us?
No, not because I want you to get loose,
pretzeled.
But I want you to experience it.
I know. Yeah.
I want you to get on the football field with a fucking
get humiliated.
I want to get you on the football field with a professional athlete.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I want to see you do bull in the ring.
No, because
on the football field.
When you experience someone that small be able to put you to sleep, it's a very, very interesting experience. It's a lot of fun.
You just got to go with it. You got to go to the light.
Yeah, you guys remember the original UFC? Did you guys watch the original one?
I watched all. Yeah,
did you watch it when it came out, or did you watch it after?
No, I watched it when it was underground. We had it on VHS tapes, and it was something.
So you didn't order it on pay-per-view when it was going on?
Before that, bro.
No.
What's that big ass guy's
Before
name?
You could even order it online like that.
Wrestled Gracie.
No. Which big guy? Oh, Chemo.
Yeah, one of the famous ones where it was such an he was completely like double, triple the size.
Yeah, Chemo.
Of Hoist Gracie.
It was Chemo. No. The original, the very first UFC was broadcast on pay-per-view.
No.
Yes, it was.
You couldn't. It was underground and illegal when it first came out.
No. The first UFC. I'm not talking about.
When UFC bought it. Okay, I thought you were talking about MMA before.
Because it used to just be cage fighting, right?
Yeah,
what they call it?
Vale Tudo. Yeah, it was Vale Tudo in Brazil, and then you had Gracie in Action is probably what you're referring to, and these were the old VHSs where the Gracies would do these challenges and fight on the street. Yeah. And then the Vale Tudo fights of Brazil, because they've been doing MMA for a long time, and there's an old one with Hickson Gracie against I forgot the dude's name. Massive black dude who was also a grappler, and it was a very long fight.
Yeah, I can't remember that
guy's
too.
name.
Yeah,
but no, the first Ultimate Fighting Championship, the actual UFC, was on pay-per-view, and blew everybody's mind because you had this skinny, not strong kind of not fit looking Brazilian guy come out in a looked like a karate gi. Nobody knew what the hell that was, and he fought all these and he just beat them kind of easily and it tripped everybody out. What people didn't know was he wasn't even the best representative of his family. Yeah. Hoist wasn't the best jiu-jitsu guy. His brother Hickson was a lot better and far more aggressive. Hickson was just the best example of this like protecting yourself form of jiu-jitsu where it's not because Hickson would have broke a lot of faces.
Yeah, it was a new thing. Like, I mean, just me personally, like watching it because like you see somebody on their back, you're like, oh shit, they're fucked, right? And then that was the first time I've actually seen somebody deliberately get on their back and then school somebody and like put them in a
nobody.
Like,
growing up as a kid, I didn't even know jiu-jitsu existed. And if someone said the word jiu-jitsu, it'd be so foreign to me. So I mean, UFC really put it on the map, bro.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is
it really did.
It was we talk about revolutions in fitness all the time. It was the single biggest revolution in martial arts since Bruce Lee popularized many of the martial arts with his movies. It was a massive, it shook the foundation of martial arts because up until that point, what a lot of people don't realize is, karate, kung fu, taekwondo, all these traditional martial arts, many of them were purporting to be the most effective and most deadly martial arts.
It showed the holes and it showed like what works and what doesn't work in like certain scenarios. Dude. Like whereas there was this sort of like mystifying kind of like lore to all these different types of schools, and like you're like, oh, my master could do like a 5-finger death punch.
Yes, I remember because I was very into martial arts. I mean, I did judo as a kid, but I was really into martial arts. And many times when you go to these schools, because I would shop these schools, I was always trying to convince my dad to let me try, like kung fu or something like that. And we'd go in there. And, my dad would ask them, do you guys fight? Do you guys actually, and they say, no, our moves are too deadly for that. So we
yeah, I swear to God, that's very common though. I experienced that too.
You're laughing, but that's 100%.
Our moves are too deadly.
That is 100% what they would all say.
I can't help but think of Napoleon.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes, that's what that reminds me.
Where he goes to that school where he does the roundhouse kick.
Yes.
But that's what they used to say, dude.
I can't help but envision that.
They used to, and
that's the teacher leading, and then your dad goes, you go in there to ask him.
And I was
our
lucky.
moves are too deadly.
Yeah, that's what they all used to say.
Starlo over here is going to school you,
bro. They used to all say that these are special moves. You can't practice these at full speed. This is what we're doing. It's all points. And when you're watching it, it looks super dynamic, and you see people. And then you watch movies, and you think, oh, this is how. But my dad, growing up poor in Sicily and getting in fights all the time, he used to tell me, no, if you want to learn how to punch, you go box. And if you want to learn how to fight on the ground, do judo or wrestling. Yeah. He goes, because those are the real ones. And I used to argue with my dad all the time.
No, he's absolutely right.
Yeah, he's like, no, dude, what if a guy fucking spin kicks you? What if he gouges your eye out? Or my dad was like, he used to tell me, like, that's not how it works, dude. He goes, and trust me, these guys never fight. So they can practice all the moves they want.
What's interesting is I actually saw that because this kid, like, I felt bad because, like, I was watching the fight and watching him get his ass kicked. But he'd been getting picked on and like he was like really trying to like build himself back up, and so he went and like did like I think it was taekwondo, and he was like throwing these taekwondo kicks out to this guy and like missing and like missing badly, and then right when he'd miss, the guy would just take his back and then he choked him out and then like beat his ass, and I was like, oh fuck, that does not work.
I mean, that was the market of martial arts.
It's the closest thing. I think it's the closest thing to a street fight. It really is. It's the closest thing to that. When you look at like what happens if you've been in a real street fight, 9 out of 10 of them go to the ground. Yeah. There are no like specific rules.
You're grabbing shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's probably the closest thing to that. I mean, I know guys that I've fought guys that have boxed. I've fought guys that have done karate, and I've fought wrestlers. And then when you get into a street fight, and all three of those guys I beat up, and I've got no background in any of that. Like all I had was just experience in getting in fights and
no hesitation.
Well, that's
most of the time.
Well, that's the big thing. That's the biggest thing is that and Bruce Lee used to talk about this. He said, "I don't fear the man that knows 1,000 kicks. I fear the man that knows one. That practices a kick 1,000 times or something like that. Like
has mastered it.
Yeah, because if you look at boxing, I will argue all day long. Besides the other full contact striking arts like maybe Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Boxing.
Muay Thai works.
A boxer with 3 years experience will beat up most black belts in traditional martial arts. But it's not because boxing is necessarily superior. It's because he fights. He gets in the ring, he punches. Yeah. And boxers master how many punches? Jab, straight, hook, uppercut. Right. That's it.
They land one of those, you're done.
Yeah, there's not like a million one moves.
Right.
And so I remember we watched the first UFC. My dad sat down with me and he saw the fighters. And he goes, watch the judo and jiu-jitsu guys beat everybody up. And me and my buddy are like, no way, man, that guy's he's karate and that guy's ninjutsu. And we were all tripping like, ninjutsu, that's fucking crazy. And
he's throwing smoke bombs. And he like enters the ring and like ninja stars.
Could you imagine when you get a street fight with somebody, someone dropped a smoke bomb?
This guy knows the praying mantis.
Yeah, definitely don't fight him. If someone throws a smoke bomb, get the fuck out of there.
Smoke bomb and run. That's my move.
I used to read Black Belt magazine. I used to read a lot of these martial arts magazines. And when that all went down, so much controversy in the martial arts world. And all these writers were defending their martial art, like, no, put a real practitioner of, Sung Do Ray or whatever they were doing, and would be the best ones.
Aikido.
Yeah.
You could be like,
maybe remember David Carradine days and stuff?
Yeah.
Like the super slow kicks and shit.
Oh, Kung Fu, what a great show, though.
It was a
fun show.
I love that. I love that show.
I used to love that so much. so good.
Man.
But yeah, it was a big debate it pissed off a lot of people. It was a big debate. Even today with MMA today, because now you see the guys know everything.
Yeah.
But if you take out the rounds and you take off the gloves, way more shit will happen on the ground today. Even today, if you put those guys in there with no gloves, because gloves let you punch a lot. They let you punch to the head a lot. People don't realize that. The gloves aren't to protect the other dude.
No, it's to protect your hands.
It's to protect your hand.
Yeah.
If you take out the rounds and the gloves, you're still going to see, even with these guys as fucking badasses they are, you're still going to see a majority of the fights hit the ground. You're on the ground, and you don't want it. You guys have hit someone in the head with your hand.
Yeah.
That shit doesn't feel good.
No, that hurts the next day.
You almost inevitably always break something.
Yeah.
You break your hand. But anyway, so how's your workout? Did you end up working out yesterday?
No, because I pretty much did it through the shoot, man. That was a lot. So,
that's right.
How do you feel about our models now when we do programs?
Yeah, I know. I feel for them a little bit, except they're getting paid, so I don't feel that much for them.
I grind them. Yeah, they come in. It's like now, next.
Well, I just wasn't thinking about it. Like I was, I'm trying to get as efficient as possible when we have, Eli and Taylor in and Drew in and everybody's in here, right? I'm like, okay, we've got a 4-hour block. Like, how many exercises can I get done? And so I kind of stretched it, and this was
how many videos did you end up doing?
3. Only 3 videos.
But you're doing the super detailed.
Yeah, they're really long. So, and that was my mistake I made, right? So the last time I did 7 videos, so I'm like, okay, I should be able to get 7 to 10 out. And so I had, 7 for sure I wanted to do, and then I had 10 in case I had extra time, right? And it ended up being the opposite. I only got 3 done. And it's because we have the last few series that we had done have been, these arms and, that's easy shit. Like, that's really easy stuff.
Now you're doing compound lifts?
Yeah, the compound lifts, and what I'm trying to do, just from feedback on the YouTube channel, is what people are really appreciating are the basic cues that I used to give trainers. And I have to say, when we first started the channel out, me personally, I felt a little, I keep talking about how the YouTube channel was the most awkward for me. Part of why that was I felt this need to appeal to the person that I'm trying to help coach, and then also appeal to academia that's probably judging me and want to make sure that I know my shit. And that was a mistake. It was a mistake for me to teach, because when I teach a client, it's me and that client. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Like, I'll use whatever analogies I need to use. I'll say things, whatever I need to say to communicate it to that person to get them to execute the movement. I won't worry about what the fuck I say. But I found myself on YouTube, because I'm presenting myself on this channel, that I want to explain everything and be more technical, where I kind of thrown that out and be like, you know what, we've got this great feedback, right? Well, that's been so far on all these basic movements. Well, now that we're getting into really complex movements, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of cues that teaching somebody a sumo deadlift is not just it's not just telling them some basic cues. There's a lot of cueing and a lot of mistakes that are made in the movement. And so as I'm going through and I'm doing this, I would do a portion of it, and then I'd tell Taylor, fuck, we need to go. I need to also explain this, because you know what? Once people figure this out, this is what breaks down here, and then they don't do this, and then you got to make sure they're doing that. So there's
video, a lot more to it than
there's a lot to it. So I'm really curious. I'm really interested to see how the YouTube channel receives these most recent ones that have gone up, because those ones.
Well, at the end of the day, it's just we're bringing as much value as possible. That's the key. We want to bring true value, and you can do that through a lot of different ways. But our expertise is in fitness and health, and so for on camera, we're going to provide as much value as possible. And will it get more views? I think it will, but more than that, I think the views it's going to get are going to be more impacted.
Yeah,
well,
that's more important.
Well, people really appreciate like slowing down and communicating what's going on with their body, so like they can actually. They can go through that same process and be like, oh, like, wow, it's more relatable that way, instead of just throwing terms out there that are in books. And, you're able to do that on a level where people can, understand it more. And that's the goal anyways, right? Is to get your average person to understand these more complex type of moves.
That's what I'm saying, because we talk about this in social media all the time, and YouTube is part of that. You can get caught up in the numbers, right? Caught up in the how many views, how many subscribers. Same thing with Instagram, how many followers I have. But do you have any real impact? That's the question.
Well, that's how you should weigh it.
The real indicator and the way I measure our success in all those things is the comments and the feedback.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the comments and the feedback is what has driven the YouTube channel to where it's at. And, to be honest, there was a lot of mistakes that we made early on. And that was just because we were trying to figure it out. It's a different platform. And we tried to take an element of the podcast and put it into the YouTube, and that was a mistake.
Yeah.
It was a mistake because...
They want to get to the brass tacks.
Yes, because the people that, and that was just... And I didn't think about this until after we had been doing it for quite some time, that people that are searching on YouTube are using it like a Google search, and they want a specific answer to a specific question, because that's what they searched in there, how to do a bicep curl. And they don't want to hear three guys that are funny and having a good time talk for the first 3 minutes and then get into the exercise, or explain how they came to this conclusion that this is the way to do things, or a better whatever.
Right.
There's like, show me and give me some tangible things that I can implement into my routine that now will make this improvement. And then at the end of the day, when the things that help them, that's what you get the great comments.
What's great about like you're doing the compound lifts and you're going through like, real, just like taking your time through it. Like I've been doing that just as working out and kind of shifting is like back to the, the major, squat, the deadlift, the overhead press, like you're very, very straightforward. Like I'm just going to like master this again as a skill. And so, I've been really loving having that available to me at whenever I go downstairs. I unfold my rack, I just get into it and I get into the groove. I'm always trying to get better and master. Even now, like I don't know what 15 something years of even teaching these moves, like I'm still trying to perfect my body mechanics and understand my body on another level. So I love the fact that I can just spend that time. It's such a simplistic way to look at training, but at the same time it's so beneficial.
Justin, how long does it take to unfold the PRX rack to get into position?
Dude, like it's ready, set, go, man.
So it's literally just boop, boop.
Yeah, I just lift it up and I pull it out and I plop it down.
That's it.
Ready to go, dude.
Where do
awesome.
all the weights sit? Are the weights on like a rack, or do they just lay against the wall? Like, what do you use?
So there's a vertical. So you can do this. You can buy whatever you want as far as like racks go, but like they have them where you actually can mount them vertically on the wall. So I just pull them right off the wall, and then alongside that too, I also have vertical place for the bar too, so I could just stick the bar so it just goes straight up.
Super low profile.
Yeah, there's nothing sticking forward and out, so everything's like it only sticks out maybe like a foot off the wall
when it's all folded.
Yeah, like everything.
Oh, I wish I did that.
Yeah, so it takes up like no space, dude, and it's like, I don't know. It's just convenient.
And you have to bolt it into the wall.
I'm a simplistic guy, dude. I love when things like work, like when I'm ready right then.
You know that new company that I sent over to you guys, Tonus or Tonal or whatever like that. I don't know if I told you, but I dug deeper into it because I was like, man, this is really cool because it's the same concept, but it's a machine, right? And, I thought it would be way more affordable if it would compete with something like the PRX. Like I thought, okay, because we were talking about it, like, do you think it'll do well? And I'm like, dude, it's got the built-in trainer. It's really cool, all this stuff. But bro, it's like fucking $3,000 plus a $49 a month fee on top of that.
To use the software?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
that's what I get you.
Well, and not only that, but that's where now you lost me because PRX, you get barbell movements and you
get the good movements and the versatility is insane.
Right. So
you're not just stuck with like a cable machine.
Right. So I was like, oh, fuck that then. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the only way I could see it comparable is if it was cheaper and then you're getting more bang for your buck because you're getting like this trainer.
The only way
the cable machine is only going to last so long as far as your body being stimulated.
Yep. And the only way I would use it would be in addition to a rack.
Right.
Free
It's
a complementary tool.
I wouldn't use it by itself at all because free weights they have yet to invent a machine that is as versatile and as effective as, good old fashioned free weights.
It does, it doesn't compare.
Are you going downstairs and just doing random sets throughout the day?
I do that. Yeah, wow. I do that.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I'll just go in and I'm like, okay, I'm just working on an overhead press. And then I'll just like literally take my sweet ass time and just work on that completely and just like add load as appropriate. Yeah. And it's so nice.
How much when you guys do that, how much do you appreciate now in you with your videos that you did yesterday? How much do you appreciate now how tired some of these models and athletes get when we have them film these programs? Because so again, Justin and I were watching the videos of Robert, right? And I'm looking at this, I'm like, bro, you're having him demo.
I felt so bad.
I'm like, you're having him demo bench presses and rows with 300, 400
like
pounds,
315. I know. Well, I started out because I'm like, listen, you're just basically like a strong Greek god. You know what I mean? I want people to know that, but it's like people already know that.
But the filming's all day. People don't know it takes 7 hours.
Well,
so we start out with a lot of weight, and I'm like, oh shit.
I made a comment to Doug yesterday. First time I ever seen it, I said, hey, dude, maybe we consider getting some fake weights, bro, just for these videos, because what was happening was
it's exhausting.
I mean, okay, so sumo deadlifts is what we started with, and all I had was 135 on there, which is fucking nothing. Okay. But after you do 30 to 50 reps of 130,
control, slow, pause.
Because you got to think, I'm taking for photos, right? So, Eli will come around and he'll be like, I want to get you, just pulling off the floor. That's it.
So you got to hold it there.
Yeah, so I got to hold it there. And I'm like in a squatted position or I just want a shot of you, getting ready. And I'm in the position to get ready. And it's like, so you don't think about all that.
Yeah.
So, man, and then after that, I have to go over and close the video out. So I don't want us to be like, so, after doing that 135, this is, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. So I'd have to break so I could catch my breath before I go do the closing. I mean, it was.
Are you sore?
That's funny.
Yeah, I'm definitely sore today. Yeah, I've already filled today, so I know. I mean, I was supposed to train that night, and I'm like, fuck.
I already trained.
Yeah, so I took a trainer. I'm like, I shouldn't train because I already did a bajillion reps. It wasn't a lot of weight, but I'm sure I'm going to be sore.
The volume
from it.
adds up.
Yeah, no, it definitely added up. But I was going to ask you, Justin, when you bought the PRX, did you do the monthly payments or did you just pay it all out?
I did the monthly actually, just because it was just. It was such a convenient service they provide with that. So it's like, for me, there was a couple different options with that too. Like you could do more per month, and I kind of did more on the higher side, but I didn't want to get hit all at once. Like I just got a paycheck, you know what I'm saying? It's like, boom, there it goes all at once. But that was a nice feature because then you can buy it, you get all the equipment. And then that like it's not going to hurt you financially.
How big
quickly.
Was your package, and then how did you break it up? Like financially, how big was the package?
It was probably around it was close to like 2,600, I believe. And that gave me the basic rack, and that gave me the vertical, like 2 vertical racks for the weights. That gave me the vertical setup for the barbells. I got 2 barbells. I got one that was 45, one was 35 for Courtney, and so she can do the barbell movements with me and work out downstairs. And then what else? I got something else with that
bench too, right?
Yeah, and the bench, exactly. Oh, I didn't even mention the bench. How fucking awesome! That's the best feature. Like you bolt the back of the bench into the wall, and so that folds down too. And it's just like you just pull everything down,
and it's right there.
Yeah. So like normally you'd have to I'll grab the bench and put it over
Roll it
here,
over.
and then
Now,
where am I going to put it?
Does the bench go incline and flat and all that?
Yeah. So no, it doesn't go incline. I think that would be another feature down the road maybe, but yeah, it's just it goes flat, but like it folds up, and then also like the legs of it fold. So now it's just it's like it doesn't take much. It doesn't occupy anything.
Well, that's freaking rad.
It's just cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a great feature.
This Quah is brought to you by Organifi. For those days you fall short on getting your organic veggies or whole food nutrition, Organifi fills the gap with laboratory-tested certified organic superfoods to help give your health and performance the added edge. Try Organifi totally risk-free for 60 days by going to Organifi.com. That's Organifi.com. And use the coupon code MINDPUMP for 20% off at checkout.
Our first question is from Elias Tuomanen. How to tell if you're getting stronger during a program without progressively overloading?
So this question, as obvious as it seems, because it's something I think we should answer because I get asked this all the time.
Do you really?
I do. I get people all the time.
How do I know I'm getting stronger?
Yeah, how do I know I should add weight?
Well,
how do I know
last week that was really easy.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, I do want to mention real quick, there's only 2 days left for the MAP Strong promotion. I want to make sure we mention that in the episode. It's going crazy right now. I don't want
Holy
people to miss
shit,
it.
urgency.
Yeah, there's only 2 days left for the 30 days off with the code STRONG30. That's strong, the number 30.
30 days off? How do you get 30 days
$30 off, excuse me, at mapstrong.com. There's 2 S's in the middle. Anyway,
go get it.
Getting stronger, it's your perceived intensity, your perceived effort. Because I get this asked all the time. People are always like, how do I know when it's time to add weight? Well, when the reps and the weight you did at a particular intensity become easier, then try to match the intensity. Try to match that perceived effort.
Seems pretty straightforward, but yeah, it is kind of you get comfortable, I think, at a certain point.
You do, and it's more. I get more women asking me this question than men typically. I think guys,
the ego is always trying to get more. Right?
Yeah, like I think I'm stronger. Throw some more weight on.
Yeah.
Oh, I hurt my back. But people are afraid to add more weight because what are they waiting for? I'm not quite sure what they're waiting for. What kind of signal they're waiting for? But you do got to kind of appreciate and respect that, especially with new people when they're working out. They don't know what it feels like, right?
Well, it's a better mentality, especially if you're new to it. You know, to be a little more reserved about really just loading it on like crazy because it could damage you. You don't want to set yourself back.
No. Have you guys ever had a client that they'll tell you, they'll hire you and they already work out, so they're not total beginners, but they're pretty much beginners. And then they'll say, I this is my workout, and what you do is you take them out and you watch them do. Okay, can you show me the squat that you normally do? You ever have this situation where you say, oh, you could squat way more than that, and they look at you like, I can?
Yeah.
Like they don't know that they can. They're like, well, yeah, obviously it doesn't feel easy to you.
Right.
They don't have any concept of what that
or you could
feels
just
like.
tell by the way they move the weight, like there's zero breakdown. So for me, like the one thing that I hesitate to say with this, like, if you were able to do it last week, just add more weight. I don't know the age of the person that I'm talking to right now. I don't know how long they've been lifting for, but I was big on like treating every exercise like a skill and becoming very mechanically sound before adding load. I mean, no doubt, like if you can move the weight really well and in progressing the weight up more is going to help build more strength. But a lot of people don't move weight well. I really don't. I think for me, like when I walk in a gym, it's a quality that I love to see in somebody, and like I'm drawn to watching someone work out when I see great mechanics. I mean, when I stand or when I'm walking on the treadmill and I look and there's 75 people out there to 100 people working out, I can count on one hand how many of them like I'm impressed with the mechanics. Mm-hmm. It's just rare. It's rare to see somebody move weight really, really controlled and well. And so I think that, there's nothing wrong too with you progressing that way. Like, so instead of always thinking that we need to necessarily be moving the weight up and weight up and weight up because that's how we get stronger and we build more muscle, you can build more muscle too by controlling the weight better and moving it more properly, especially when you talk about building the specific muscles. Like, if you're somebody who is like, and how I would talk to a football player or somebody who's just looking for explosiveness and full power from their entire body, and they're looking for just output, that's a little bit different than somebody, which is, to me, in my opinion, the average person who comes in, they want to look better, or they want to lose body fat, or they want to shape their shoulders or their chest, or they want that person. I think that it's way more important that they learn to use those muscles, the most or the best or in that movement, more so than it is to progressively overload them, in my experience.
Absolutely. You want to challenge yourself with the weight that you're lifting, but you don't want to compromise your form. So pick a weight that will allow you to perform the prescribed number of reps with a high level of intensity with good form. So if your form breaks down, it's too much weight. Even if you can move the weight with a slight breakdown in form, that means you should go lighter. So form is perfect, but you're pushing yourself. That's how you know that you've picked the right weight.
Right.
When it gets to the point where your form is perfect and you're not really pushing yourself like you used to, and the prescribed reps were 10, and you're done with your set, and you're like, I feel like I could have done 5 more reps. Yeah. Then you need to add more weight. But it is important that we do say that it does take some time and practice to kind of figure this out, because I know when I get under a bar and I lift a weight, I know when I'm about 2 or 3 reps before I'm gonna fail. I know that. Okay, I can maybe squeeze out 2 more reps and then I won't be able to do anymore.
And fail, you should say too, is failure for us is form breaking down.
Yeah, it's not
because
I'm dead.
Because I can tell when I'm lifting 2 or 3 reps before my form breaks down, but I could still get that 3 reps. I know that. I know I'll be doing, let's say I'm doing a weight, and it's a weight that my form will start to break down at 10 reps. My form will break down at 10 reps, but I could probably get 12 reps.
Right.
And this is a mistake that I see a lot of people do, and it was common, especially with the younger generation when I was lifting. Wanting to be stronger and lift so much. And
it was all about the lift. It was all about the reps.
Right. It was all about how many reps can I get X amount of weight out. And what ends up happening is those last 2 or 3 reps, you're muscling the weight up. And it's like, now all these other muscles are incorporated to try and move the weight. And if you're trying to work on mechanics and you're trying to work a specific muscle group, not ideal. You'd be much better off reducing the repetitions or reducing the weight, and then
then you lose the intent of the exercise.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's interesting. So Olympic lifters too. They typically throughout the week they're gonna lift way less than their ability, and it's really just to master and hone in on that skill and the form and the mastery of it, and and then they go and they challenge themselves, intermittently with adding load, and then they revisit it, and then where was I, off slightly within if you break down that movement and you segment it, where were my pitfalls, where were my sticking points, and you address those things specifically, the following week. So. There's different ways to approach it, but yeah, I like the perceived exertion, like knowing that you got to do the work first and kind of figure out where your end range is, and that's kind of like your own internal gauge.
Yeah, you have to constantly try to challenge yourself, but watch your form. That's basically it. If you challenge yourself, and here's the other thing too, when you're adding weight, always err on the side of less that you're adding. So let's say last week you did 10 reps with 100 pounds in the squat, and it was pretty intense. And this week you did the same set, 10 reps with 100 pounds, and you're like, wow, it feels easier. I feel like I can lift more weight. Rather than jumping up 10 or 15 pounds on the bar, just go up 5 pounds. Just go up 5 pounds and feel it out and see how it works. And if you feel like you can add a little more with the appropriate level of intensity and good form, go up another 5 pounds. Because another mistake that I've seen people make, and this seems to be more common with guys, is they'll do a lift and be like, whoa, I think I can lift more. add 25 pounds to the bar. Whoa, calm down. That makes a big fucking
You hyper
difference.
jumped.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. I've hurt myself like that in the past when I was younger.
Done that before.
Yeah, where I'll do a squat or a deadlift. I'm like, oh fuck, I feel.
Put a quarter on.
Yeah,
bro.
I could break my PR.
Well, it's
and instead of breaking it by 5 pounds, I try to break it by 15 pounds, and then I ruin the whole fucking day because I.
Well, this is also something that just takes time and practice because I know you guys know this too. Like I know my weight so well that I know a weight that if I move a weight by like 5 reps, like if I'm lifting heavy that day, but I can move it out 5, I know how much more I can go up.
Right.
And if I was going to do a single or a double after that, like I have an idea of like how much I can go up. If I'm struggling to get 3 to 4 reps out of a weight, I can't get much higher before I start to hit my PR weight, you know? So it's like you'll learn that as you
And there's
lift.
also sort of warm up like sets, right? Where so I'll go through that and I know that like I want to get to a certain point where I don't completely exhaust myself. So I want to pull out, but I know now I jump up, substantially, like, like weight wise, like I'll add another like 50, 100 pounds to then get into the real sets.
Yeah. And the other thing too, and this is something you have to kind of learn about yourself because like for me, for example, if I'm doing let's say I'm doing over 10 reps, over 8 to 10 reps, and I feel like I can add a lot more weight. There's less weight that I can add. There's less range that I have in that rep range than I do in the low rep ranges. And that's just because the way I train. I like to train the low rep ranges, and I really enjoy being strong. And I know that, let's say I do a weight for 6 reps, and that's my max. I can add a lot more to go down to 2 reps, but not to go, but I'd have to cut down a lot if I were to go up to 10 reps. And it doesn't always match up. It doesn't make sense. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys. Like my low rep range strength, much bigger range than it is in my higher rep range. And that's something you kind of have to learn for yourself and feel out. And that's why I say err on the side of adding small amounts of weight. They even make, I don't know if you guys see this, they make these weight magnets. Have you guys seen these? That are like half a pound.
What?
Yeah, so like.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so and one of the concepts, and I've never done this before, but I think it's fascinating, where you're working out and you just add a half a pound or a pound every week, no matter what. And it's such a small amount that it typically allows you to progress. And they're these little magnets.
I've seen those little donuts, like sized ones that are like half a pound before. Like when I was in an Olympic lifting setup, like they had like, all the bumper plates, but then they had like these little tiny, like incremental weights that they put on.
Yeah, see that.
I've never ever seen that before.
Yeah,
I've never seen a magnet though.
And the concept behind it is, every week I'm going to add 1 pound to the bar, which you're probably not even going to feel. But if you think about it, over the course of
it's kind of a smart way to do it.
Over the course of 12 weeks, you've added 12 pounds to the bar.
Oh, it's a very smart way to do it.
It might be an interesting way to. And you know why I know. You know why I know about.
I'd actually love to play with that
I
because
almost would too.
Yeah, I've never even thought to do something like that.
You know why I knew about this? So maybe 5 years ago, I thought this brilliant idea one night. I was up late and I'm like, if I invented mini weights that you could use as magnets to add weight every week, and I looked it up and they have it. So, so there it is.
Is that great when you
think
of something that you think is so brilliant?
I hate that.
Yeah, no.
Everything's been invented.
Next up is Summer Huizenga. I'm trying to gain weight. How can I make sure that the extra calories go to booty gains versus belly fat?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Try to figure out where you want your body to gain body fat.
You kind of can. I mean, well, you're not wanting to get the butt fat. You're wanting to build muscle there. That's ideally what you'll do. Mm-hmm. But this is a cool question because I think a mistake that a lot of girls that want to build a butt do is they go into a program wanting to build a butt, or they buy some fucking online, girl that's putting booty stuff out there, and then they're also doing all this stuff in a caloric deficit. And I mean, can you build a little bit of a butt in a calorie deficit? Maybe a tiny bit, because maybe you're sending a new signal that you haven't, and it's so much volume that you will by default get a little bit of a build, but not a good strategy. It's just like, and it's so crazy that we treat it differently than any other muscle. Like it's just like any other muscle. Like I would never, if some guy came to me and said, "Yo, bro, I want to build my chest," I would never say, "Okay, we're going to get on 1,400 calories and you're going to do some cardio, and then we're also going to do some bench press real heavy." It's like, that would not be a smart strategy whatsoever to build muscle. So being in a surplus already is a smart strategy to try and add weight. And this is kind of how, Katrina, we do this for Katrina because that's been a focus of hers for the last couple of years, is we typically diet down, and she's following whatever normal protocol of training. So because she's gone through all the MAPS programs. So let's just say she's on anabolic right now, and that's what she's training, and we're dieting to lean out, and she gets really lean. And then when we decide that we're going to go in a surplus, I love for her to follow our butt builder guide, which is part of MAPS aesthetic. You combine with that where we're focusing on a muscle because we're trying to develop it. And so that I put her in a calorie surplus. I throw her a new stimulation. I increased volume on the butt, and I'm adding calories. And so the theory behind that is that it's a new stimulus. It's increased volume. It's in an area that I'm trying to develop, and I have a surplus. Hopefully a majority of those calories will get allocated to building that muscle up. That's the idea.
In the past, if somebody asked me, can I make my body store body fat differently, or can I burn body fat from more specific areas? I would say no, it's completely dictated by genetics, and that's what I was taught.
Right.
What I know now is that science is showing us that your hormones actually play a relatively large role in how your body tends to store body fat. If your estrogen levels are really low, if cortisol is high, and you gain body fat, more of that is going to be around the midsection, and less of it will be around the glute area. And if your diet is very low in omega-3 fatty acids, there is some evidence to suggest that you'll have less body fat go to the areas that you quote unquote want it to go. So, of course, what Adam's saying is most important. If you want to build your butt, build the muscle. But then when it comes to fat gain it in a healthy way. So, let's think about what things affect your hormones what things affect your hormones. Well, your diet does. And if you're just trying to gain weight and you throw a bunch of unhealthy food at yourself, a lot of sugar, a lot of processed food, the odds that your hormones will be maybe out of balance are much higher. Then you throw on top of that, you throw stress and bad sleep. And it's more likely that the kind of fat that you're going to gain is the kind of fat that doesn't look as healthy. Because remember, the reason why we have aesthetics to begin with, the reason why we find certain things attractive to begin with is because it's a physical display of your health. And women who store more body fat in their butt and in their breasts typically are more fertile and they have a better hormone profile. If men stored body fat that way, if a man stored a bunch of body fat in his lower extremities and was shaped like a pear, women would find him unattractive because it would then signify that he had a lot of estrogen and didn't have much testosterone. And vice versa, right? If a woman gained around her belly and had very skinny legs and arms, it'd be considered less attractive as well because it signifies that there may be a hormone issue and she may not be quite as fertile.
Nobody likes man boobies.
Right. So if you want to gain body fat in the most healthy way that your genetics will allow, you need to do it with a healthy calorie surplus, not a just calorie surplus. A lot of people make that mistake. I want to gain weight. Oh, cool. Now that it's time for me to bulk, that means I can eat whatever the fuck I want. Now I can eat cheeseburgers and I can eat pizza. And
this is a common mistake made with guys, and the guys tend to do this when they go in what they call a dirty bulk.
That's right.
And they want to build, so they think like, oh, I'm trying to build, so I'll just overconsume a bunch of calories, and they're getting a bunch of shit calories.
That's right.
They put on a bunch of bad fat with a little bit of muscle,
and it's just not as healthy. And so I'd say make it as healthy as possible. Focus on your strength training. Make sure you get good quality sleep. Make sure the foods that you eat are whole and natural, and that you're eating in a surplus, but you're not eating in a dramatic, massive surplus. This is how I tell people when it comes to gaining weight. I say eat more good food. That's it. Not eat more, period, or eat more shitty food, or just eat more calories.
Well, this is why
eat more good food.
This is why I love to do something just like this right after a nice, good, hard cut, like with Katrina, because I've been depriving her of calories, so she's hungry, right? So we're in this right now because she's kind of doing the same thing we are right now. So, we're laying in bed talking and, we're sipping on the orange gold juice and we're going like, I'm hungry, it's been a while since we've felt this feeling of hunger, I feel hungry right now, and talking to her and leaning out. Well, it's so nice when you've been dieting to lean out for a while to just get calories, again. And so I'm not so picky about that. I just want some healthy calories. I'll take a chicken breast and white rice right now because I'm so hungry.
It's the best feeling when you raise your calories up again and then you hit like phase 1 anabolic.
Oh, dude.
That is like my favorite combo.
Oh, yeah.
After cutting or trying to lean out. My favorite thing to do is to drop the reps down and really just focus again on like building strength and mass and, rest periods. And it complements it very well if you're trying to build.
Well, if you're really methodical about this, like I am when I'm setting Katrina up, you will see gains in your butt, and it'll blow you away. If you actually tracked your total volume of how much you're training your butt right now, and you go in a cut first, and you do that for maybe a week or two, and you're low on your calories, and then you turn around and you switch gears, and then you do a MAPS aesthetic where your focus is now. So now you're hitting the butt more frequently, and you're also increasing volume, so you can actually see that, and then you're also adding calories. Oh, watch.
Yep.
Watch how fast you see results.
And I do think it's fascinating, right? That it's considered more aesthetic for women to store body fat in certain areas. And they do studies on this, and they find that, women that tend to store more body fat in their lower extremities or their butt tend to have healthier babies also. There's a reason why we find things aesthetic, again, because it's a physical display of health.
It's a signal.
Now, the most unhealthy clients I've ever trained in my entire life, the most unhealthy female clients that I've ever trained in my entire life that were also overweight, they all tended to store all this body fat in their midsection. And they had this kind of apple look where some of them even had skinny legs and this very distended kind of bigger gut. And then I've had other women who I've trained who were also overweight but had better health, and you can see the fat distribution is a little bit differently. Some of that's genetics and some of that's hormone. And look, you could talk to women all the time who all of a sudden they go through menopause, they store body fat differently, or they're on birth control, they store body fat differently. So hormones play a role, and a healthy hormone profile is going to give you a more aesthetic type of fat distribution. And so you want to stay healthy while you're trying to gain weight. And the only way to do that, or the best way to do that, is you still want to eat healthy food. You just want to eat more of it. And you still want to train properly. You don't want to overdo it because you get those stress hormones through the roof, and then your body starts to store it a little differently as well.
Next question is from Xenia Rador. How important do you feel it is to be good at something, have a skill, or be an expert at something while building a business? I feel like we live in an era where people expect to get insta-famous without ever really providing any value.
Yeah.
This happens a lot.
Yeah. That's all I see these days.
Here's the problem. Like, we go down this rabbit hole of, people need to prove that they know what they're talking about before they promote things or before they start a business. And then the next question is, well, who determines that? Well, this new agency, this regulatory agency that we've created, or these people that now determine who can say these things. At the end of the day, it's the market that decides who has value. And unfortunately, there's false signals with social media. So if somebody has 100,000 followers, to the average consumer, if it's a fitness person with 100,000 followers, that gives the impression that that person knows what they're talking about. They have 100,000 followers. I know a lot of fitness professionals who are extremely intelligent, know a lot about what they're talking about, who have less than 1,000 followers. Yeah. And I know a lot of people with over 100,000 followers who are complete morons, and I would never take any of their advice when it comes to, fitness and nutrition.
But they got that beautiful body.
But at the end of the day, it's the market that decides. It's funny. I'll give you an example. This is hilarious. I've been training and I've been in fitness now for over 20 years. And I would say the back half of that, definitely after the 10 years, but probably after 5, I was pretty good. I knew what I was talking about, better than the average trainer. I put a lot of time and effort into learning what I was saying. And there was a certain rate that I could charge, and there was a certain perceived authority that I had, but it doesn't even come close to the perceived authority that I have now because I have a podcast and because I have a YouTube channel. Now people perceive my authority as being much, much, much higher than ever before. And it's very interesting to me because I'm not that different than I was, 4 years ago. I mean, I know more just because it's been 4 years later, but it's not dramatically more. I'm just almost as good as I was before. It's that perceived authority that the market
but your knowledge is going to cut through.
Here's the thing. I wish more people, when I get interviewed, I wish we'd spend more time talking about things like this because I think this is such a great topic in the business, and I openly share it. And I think that with this era of Instagram and social media,
it's already going away.
Well, so here's what happened. And I explained this the other day. the value thing is so important. If you were to like, let's say somebody who has the exact same business as us, that the way they monetize is the same way we do, but they've got 300,000 followers on Instagram because they look a certain way. And so let's say the business is just off and running and they sell 100 programs in a day and I only sell 10 programs in a day. Now, they made way more money. And at first it looks like they might have a better business, but it's false. It's not built on a solid foundation because they're not providing real value potentially because they don't have a true skill in that area. They're not an expert. They're not adding real value. They're all hype. They've got people that are looking at them and then they've convinced them real quick to buy something. Well, then what ends up happening?
Buyer's remorse.
Out of those 100 people that bought, maybe if they're lucky, 1 or 2 of them saw a great result. But guess what? The 10 people that bought whatever it was that I was selling, 9 of them saw incredible results. And so it's only a matter of time before it's going to take me a little longer because I don't have the same exposure, but it's only a matter of time but that my 9 turns into 18 and then it keeps compounding, and then it gets to a point where I've fundamentally changed these people's lives that they're now walking billboards out there talking about the service that I'm providing for them. And this other person who's just hustling people in and out of the door and selling them and making a ton of money, eventually that slows down and dies. And the other person who's building and adding value to people's lives and is truly changing them and helping them, that person just keeps compounding and keeps catching up and speeding up.
Those are the rules of business that will never change.
Right, exactly. It doesn't matter if there's an Instagram around or not. That's exactly what you had to do when it was brick and mortar, is you only had so many people walk through your building. You had to provide a service to those people that they walked out and went, holy fuck, that was, I got to tell my friends.
And I'm definitely a glasses half full kind of guy with this topic because I know that, when there's new technology and when there's something new out there that everybody's kind of sifting through and trying to decide like, well, who's right and who's, giving quality information or who should I believe, the initial reaction is always the eye candy. It's going to draw you to it. It's like a beacon. You can't help it. It's like this primal thing. Like, oh wow, like this is flashy. This is great. But as the smarter people, it's like after a certain amount of time, people tend to realize, like, based off of feedback and based off of everybody's experiences, that all comes to surface. And so, it's the whole flash in the pan sort of analogy. It's it works initially because this is new. Like there's a lot of tricks that you can get away with right now, and you can show Photoshop this, and you can show, me being awesome all the time and everything working out. But then people tend to they find out like, wow, that is just a facade.
Yeah, flash in the pan is very, very good example, and that's today times 10. You see way more flash in the pan type success today than ever before because social media gives people the opportunity to explode in popularity, but then fizzle out very quickly because they kind of get found out. It's funny when you examine all the social media platforms, some of them are much easier to fake expertise at than other. I have to say Instagram is probably the easiest to fake. It's the easiest one to pretend and act like you know what the hell you're doing than, say, YouTube, which I believe is more difficult because you have to kind of talk and show some content, which is still much easier than podcasting. The reason why you don't see a lot of these Insta celebrities...
you can copy-paste somebody else's shit and then put a picture in front of it because you have a bigger following.
I would love to see some of these Insta celebrities who act like they know what they're talking about in fitness conduct a 1-hour podcast.
There you go.
And do that every week. Good luck because, that's
it's
an
the
hour.
ultimate filter.
That's right. Podcasting is a very difficult one to fake. Can you fake it? You still can, but it's much harder.
It's also why all those mediums, and this is why I wish more people would ask these questions because I would share this stuff. All these mediums have significantly different conversion rates. Podcasting, the highest. Why is it the highest? Because in order for someone to fucking tune in and listen to you for 90 minutes, you probably got to be adding pretty good value to their lives.
You got to know what you're talking about.
Right, and you got to know what you're talking about. So
there's a lot of trust there.
Right, and then you look at YouTube, the next highest conversion rate. And then you look at Instagram, even lower, right? It just keeps getting lower with all these quick, Twitter, even lower. Anything that's just this fast, instant thing, sure, you might get the quickest attention through those things. but to convert and to drive revenue and to build a business around. Just because somebody has a few 100,000 or 1 million followers,
a loyal following,
right, dude? It doesn't. It doesn't matter as much as people think it matters to have this, huge following on Instagram. It's a terrible platform to convert revenue anyways.
Yeah.
I don't care. And somebody who tells you it's a good one, it's just because they have 1 million and they're making decent money off of it, that's not a
I would say
conversion.
Listen to them talk might be a good way. So have they been interviewed on a podcast? Hear what they have to say. Have they written a book? A book is another hard one to fake. Like if you wrote a book, you might need to know what you're talking about, but you'll know by reading the whole book and seeing what's in there. But at the end of the day, the burden is on the consumer. You have to decide, who you're going to listen to and what's going to work. And I hate to say it, but if they just have an Instagram page and it's big and that's it, and they're not really doing much else, they're probably full of shit. And the reason why
flags.
I say, because the people I know who have big Instagram pages who also know what they're talking about also do other things to be able to convey that information. Whereas Instagram is not really the best platform for it. You write a little bit on the bottom. Most of these guys don't even do that.
It reminds me of the rush that went into boot camps, right? I remember when, because I was on the front end of that also, and I saw people doing boot camps, and all these trainers, it was like this light bulb went off for everybody when the economy started to dip, like, oh shit, let's get into group classes and drop the rate so now we can still have all these clients. I can make more money per hour. And then all these trainers rushed into this newer model. It's been around forever, but it exploded during this 2005 to 2007 type time. And what you had was just everybody rushing in, running classes, and then doing these circuit-based crush everybody. And I saw that really quick and early on, and the things that I would do with my bootcamp class was different than what everybody else was doing. And the reason why they grew and it was really easy for me to maintain that business was because I wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. Now, a lot of people were having success with that because it was so easy and there was this huge flux. You see that right now with Instagram. You see, oh my God, most of these people that are buying stuff, they want to see this guy or girl ripped or look sexy or look hot. And so they're getting that initial, these people coming in that, oh my God, that's so-and-so I follow, and he looks so amazing, or she
we'll
looks
see where they're at in 5 years.
Right. And so right now everybody's it's money. We saw the opportunity ourselves. It's the reason why we got into podcasting, because we went, wow, look at all these people that are making money off of this, and a lot of them aren't providing really good value. All we got to do is come in and actually provide really good value, and we're going to suck up all their clients. Because you know why? Because even if they bought from them, eventually they're going to come looking for the right answer, and then they'll eventually find us. And that's where we knew there was an opportunity in this space to come and provide that type of information. And I think there still is opportunity in this space. I still think we're still dominated by the bullshit, which is exciting for Mind Pump. It's the reason why we can project year over year where we're going to be, because there's still lots of people that are falling in the trap.
Next question is from TDC Fitness Eddie. Why do I need to train internal and external rotation of the shoulder? I bench 325 at 165 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you want to stabilize your shoulder or not?
That's probably even more important for someone.
Very important.
There are a lot of these small muscles in the body that don't get much attention or spotlight, either because they're not big prime movers, so they're not the ones that are going to be doing these big lifts, or because they're just not these pretty aesthetic looking muscles like the biceps and triceps and delts. But these muscles are very important. And when you're a 165 pound guy and you're benching 325, you are extremely strong at a particular movement. In one direction, a particular movement. Now, here's what happens when you go generate that strength outside of the control and stability and confines of the bench press. You go out in the real world and you apply that force that you can generate, but you lack the stability.
Go throw a ball.
To keep your humerus in place, to keep your shoulder in place, like you do when you're in the bench. Because I know what happens when you bench, right? You get on the bench, you get all perfect form, everything's locked in, you move in this particular groove. If you move outside that groove by half an inch, you're fucked. You probably can't lift the weight, so everything's perfect. You've perfected the movement. Well, you're really, really strong at that movement. But you go try to apply that force without the stabilizers that can hold it, and you're going to hurt yourself. It's really no different than throwing a shit ton of horsepower on a car and not bolstering that car.
And like that analogy, those are the most risky people, right? Because you got that much horsepower. You're that strong. you're more likely to get injured than the little weak, frail kid who can only bench press 90 pounds.
Right.
Because you're so strong, it actually can end up hurting you more. All of my injuries have been exactly because of this. Yep. Because I get really good at deadlifting, or really good at benching, or really good I get really good at the same movement in the same plane, and then I go to do something else that's way lighter, and because I'm out of that exact form, it ends up tearing or ends up hurting something. And this is
just
definitely
to keep your bone in the right place, keep it tracking well, to keep everything like stabilized through, like, if you add more force, even then it's going to improve your bench press. Like, again, with stabilizing joints, what that allows is for your body to feel like it's even, like everything's supported, so therefore I can apply more force. Everything's going to be fine. Like you're reiterating that by working on these little muscles.
My cousin, when we were kids, we used to, we'd buy these little rice rocket cars and we'd try and fix them up and go fast. And the way we would race them was we'd race them down the street going straight down the road. And I remember my cousin had saved up like $1,500, and he was going to either buy some bolt-on parts to improve his horsepower, or he could invest in better brakes and better suspension and handling. And I remember him saying, I don't give a shit about slowing down. I just want to go fast and go straight so I can beat you guys. Well, he ended up wrecking his car because he had no control or stability over that power. And that's kind of what happens to your body, but it's your body. It's even worse.
Right.
And here's the other thing you want to keep in mind as well. It's also limiting your strength. So however strong you are, benching 325, there is a rev limiter that your body has that's natural. Now, you may have been able to tap up against it because you're perfecting your bench press and because you're perfecting your form and you're honing your central nervous system for this one particular movement. But believe me, if you have internal and external rotators that don't match the strength that you can push, you're still limited. I can't tell you. I've had it happen at least a dozen times where I've had an athlete like this come hire me, and I'll get their bench press to go up 5 pounds almost overnight just by strengthening their stabilizers. Like we didn't even work on their bench.
Right.
I just got them stronger at their stabilizers. Next thing you know, 5 or 10 pounds more on the bar when they're benching.
Well, so you put like 350. Like now I put 350 on the bar and I'm holding that. What does that feel like? Where do you feel like you're shifting at all? Like just trying to stabilize that weight. Now imagine that like it feels like you have it already.
Right.
Versus like, oh, I have to adjust to this. And like those little micro adjustments could be, the matter of like, getting injured or not.
Well, here's a perfect example. Okay. Whatever your max deadlift is, let's say your max deadlift is 500 pounds. What are the prime movers on the deadlift? The hips. Hips are the prime movers. You get a lot of back and stuff, but mainly it's isometric. You get a lot of glutes and hamstrings and some quads pushing into the floor and getting you through that hip extension to stand up. So if your max deadlift is 500 pounds, throw a belt on your body. All of a sudden now you're 515. Yeah. Why?
Boom.
Did I strengthen your prime movers? Not at all. No. All I did was create more stability in your body. Now we used an external source. I put a belt around your waist, and that increases your core stability because your abs push out against it. Now you're more stable. Now your prime movers can generate more strength. So you just got stronger by becoming more stable. Yep. It's no different than what we're talking about right here. Now, there's nothing you can wear on your shoulders and whatever except for maybe a bench shirt. But if you strengthen your stabilizers, which include your internal and external rotators, your bench press will go up.
Right.
Yeah,
and you're protecting yourself at the same time. It's a win. Right. It's a win all the way around.
I get this a lot though from strength athletes, especially like power lifters and strongmen and whatnot. And it's like they'll look at like things like mace belt and Indian clubs and stuff like it's silly,
like waste of time.
Yeah, it's just silly stuff. And this is for like the sort of animal flow, mobility people and this and that. But if you can actually like just put all that bullshit aside and actually work on it and apply it to, what you're actually doing, if strength is the ultimate goal, work on that, see what happens.
Yeah. You would be shocked and surprised. Happened to me when I was a kid. I
would credit Justin to that's what part of why he's probably the best pusher out of all of us is because of all the shoulder stabilization stuff that you do, because you do so much movements like that, like Indian dynamic movements for your shoulder. You out push Sal and I in all pushing movements, overhead press, the bench press, like you've got us on that, and you quite frankly, put more emphasis and effort into that part. I mean, I probably lift chests more than you do, but you're stronger than I am in that. And I mean, and to be honest, it's probably because you put a lot more effort and emphasis on
it was a learned skill. It literally took me from, I'd get to a point where I'd get to a sticking point where it was like, okay, I hit, I got like 350 or whatever, and I benched it, and I felt great. And then, just adding just 5 more pounds to that, it was like, okay, now my shoulder's done.
Yeah. I would say the people that probably need to train their stabilizers the most are the ones that are lifting the most weight. That's the irony of this question.
Right.
Like
that's what I meant. I was like, dude, this person is probably
he's got a greater need for it.
The most at risk for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just injury, because I know, look, there's a lot of young guys that are like, I'm not going to get hurt. I don't care. You can't really convince them to do this stuff with the risk of injury type conversation. It's the whole like, don't go fast, you'll get in an accident. When you try and tell a 16-year-old, they're like, fuck it, who cares? I'm going to be just fine. So if that doesn't work, just know this. You're not benching as much as you could. But just know that.
Exactly. Just from a performance standpoint.
Yeah, you're almost benching 2 times your body weight. You're doing pretty fucking good. I'm pretty sure you could add another probably 10 to 15 pounds in a very short period of time without having to focus more on your bench, just by increasing the stability of your shoulders. Also, I do want to mention 2 days left for the MAPS Strong launch discount. It's
such a badass program.
$30 off. People are loving this program. It is very, very different. If you're bored with the traditional workouts and you want to build real muscle and strength with a program that was inspired by strongmen, we wrote it.
Natural progression for somebody who just loved MAPS Anabolic. If you went through MAPS Anabolic and you love that, you will love Strong.
MAPS Anabolic on roids.
Absolutely, and it's $30 off. You got to use the code STRONG30, STRONG, and the number 30 without any space. You got to go to mapsstrong.com. That's MAPSSTRONG.com. Go check it out.
Thank you for listening to Mind Pump. If your goal is to build and shape your body, dramatically improve your health and energy, and maximize your overall performance, check out our discounted RGB Super Bundle at mindpumpmedia.com. The RGB Super Bundle includes MAPS Anabolic, MAPS Performance, and MAPS Aesthetic. 9 months of phased expert exercise programming designed by Sal, Adam, and Justin to systematically transform the way your body looks, feels, and performs. With detailed workout blueprints and over 200 videos, the RGB Super Bundle is like having Sal, Adam, and Justin as your own personal trainers, but at a fraction of the price. The RGB Super Bundle has a full 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can get it now plus other valuable free resources at mindpumpmedia.com. If you enjoy this show, please share the love by leaving us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and by introducing Mind Pump to your friends and family. We thank you for your support, and until next time, this is Mind Pump.